Welcome everyone to another Powerplant Podcast as I lie here in the pitch black of my apartment on the 17th of December. We're here in Hong Kong and we just had our Christmas party today and it was a fantastic day. I don't know. I have ups and downs. They're usually pretty stable compared to, some of my friends. Ups and downs can be quite extreme, but mine seem to fluctuate a lot less. So this was definitely an up day though, and I don't know why, I just felt so happy and content, and I even thought to myself in the afternoon, what would it take for me to be unhappy at the end of the day? And I thought it'd take something very, very extreme, like either, falling off my bike or something like that, getting hit by a car, which can happen in Hong Kong. Even at the best of times, the traffic is insane. And look, I just sort of thought what made today such a happy day. Why am I in such a good mood? And it's probably been a build-up of things, but today was the Christmas party, so we gave each other gifts. And I think it was a combination of looking forward to some sort of party. I don't do a lot of party things, and I really do like running and actually contributing a lot of things towards running, which would mean for other people maybe sacrificing things, but for me I don't really see it as a sacrifice because that's what I like to do. For example, going out on a Saturday night and having a couple of drinks might get in the way of, some sort of fitness goal that you've got in mind. For me, it wouldn't be a sacrifice just to say, look, I'd rather be at home reading a book, and that's just being honest with your friends. And if you're honest with your friends long enough, and they don't like that, they're probably not going to be your friends for much longer, and you'll just make different friends, or you'll have less friends, but the friends that you have will still understand. And that's important, having quality friends rather than just maybe friends that you do things with, or you are friends with them because of reasons that aren't really you. They're not really the essence of what you are and what you enjoy. So today we had our little Kris Kringle and we all gave each other presents, and it was very, very nice and it felt great. And I think it's the idea of giving. And if you think about it, giving away your things or giving something or spending money, physically spending your time for someone else or for something else or to build something, may not, initially think that's going to give you happiness. But I think the act of giving pays it back towards yourself, regardless of whether you think it's going to happen or ask for it or not. I think it does sort of pay for itself in how other people feel around you. They will treat you better, and it will be sort of by a factor of 5 or 10 or something massive. So, if you were to give 1 cent, you'd get 5 cents back eventually. And I actually think that is the case. I don't know how it works, the mechanism for how it works, but if you were to give an hour's free English lesson to someone once a week, they'd end up doing something for you, and you shouldn't be expecting people to do something back for you. You should just do it unconditionally and not expect anything in return, because then you're doing it for nothing. You're not expecting anything. So there's never going to be a sense of, I have to do this again. You're choosing to. It's not a job. It's got nothing attached to it. You're going to find that they will somehow repay the favor in a very big way. And I think that's what it is. Now, I've listened to podcasts with Effective Altruism on Rich Roll, the Rich Roll podcast, and the Sam Harris podcast. They had a bloke called Will McCaskill on, which is very interesting. I think his website's goodwill.com or something, and he's looked at a lot of the charities and the best ones to give to, and he's also worked out, Charpador more or less, that it's about $3,500 that you need to spend to save someone's life. I don't know if that was from malaria or just on average of every mortality cause. So how many of us have $3,500 lying around? Most people who have access to listening to this podcast probably do. And they also indicate, well, he's got a rule that anything over $30,000 US, I guess, he makes a year, he gives away to charity. And even though over the past couple of years his income's increased because of book sales and things like that, that is what he has said is still his rule. And another, I guess, moralist and philosopher, Peter Singer in Australia, who advocates for a sort of ethics and morality of animals, amongst other things, and not eating them, plant-based diet. He says, in terms of income, what you should give away to charities. I think he advocates for 90% of your income. And for most people, that's unattainable at the moment, or it may, never be attainable for pretty much everyone. But if you build up and if you automate the process, as in you give them away a certain amount of money each month, you tend to forget, and you realize that you have a lot more than you need, and that the stuff that you're giving away, it's not making an impact on your life, but it is making a difference elsewhere, as long as you give it to a good charity that doesn't have all this administrative red tape crap, and only 1% of the dollar you spend goes towards the cause that you want it to, which is where websites from Will McCaskill's work come into play. I think it's called goodwill.com again. So does that mean that I'm going to start donating a lot more money to charity? No, it doesn't mean you should too. But for me, the reason that I don't is that I'm probably lacking in compassion in that region. And I'm not changing it because, I don't know. Do I see it as a flaw? I guess not. You can get into some dark territory here in terms of me saying that there's too many people on the earth. But out of luck, I'm one of them who's not going to die of some sort of disease that might be endemic to a region in some part of the world, which could be saved. And therefore, we're all in that situation of a burning house whereby we go into the house and we can save someone simply by grabbing the child instead of grabbing the Xbox. But all of us are choosing to grab the Xbox every day from the money we spend on unnecessary goods that could be sent to the charity. And that's very hard to come to, if you think of yourself as an ethical person, to deal with that. But for me, I would just say that I lack compassion in that region, and that I think that there's too many beings and people on the planet. And I don't actually have a lot of remorse for people. If there's one thing that being vegan has changed me into, it's that I just see all life to a certain point. I don't know where I draw the line. It varies on day to day, I try and let ants survive all the time, but then sometimes if there's too many of them in an area, I'll brush them away. It's the same with a mosquito. But really, anything bigger than that, it's equal. It's equal. If I see someone hitting a dog, I have almost become despecies-sized in that I don't see humans as everyone else pretty much does if you're a speciesist. In that humans are the top of the food chain and they are allowed to make their own decisions and do whatever. I think it's very hard because we're all the same species here listening to this podcast, and we all have, perhaps it's natural, inbuilt, innate empathy for each other that we don't extend to other species. But I think if you de-learn that it's going to be a good thing for everything around you, in the greater good. And the overall happiness on the planet is going to be higher for everything on it, everyone on it, everything. So all animals are the same for me. Really, they pretty much are. Depends on my mood. Day to day, it may vary a little bit, but therefore, I think my compassion towards humans is slightly decreased since being vegan, but my compassion for like other animals has increased. So I don't know how I got onto this. In terms of giving and being happy, I think it's an important thing that you can just sort of remember that if you are going to give your time up, then it's fine. Don't worry about it. Don't think that you're going to get more in return, but you probably will. And what makes you happy? Look back on things that there are patterns that you can do and repeat in each day that if you work into your routine can cause like a greater sort of happiness. So there we go. We're very happy. I got my ID registration done in Hong Kong today. If you come in here to Hong Kong to work, you need to register within 30 days. And I did the visa run twice last Sunday to Shenzhen, which is the border city in China next to Hong Kong. The first time I tried to sneak over the border, I did get over the border. I crossed the river. I was in Shenzhen. I just didn't enter Chinese immigration because I didn't have a Chinese visa. And I knew that. And I was trying to do it the cheapest way possible because that's how I work. I spend the least amount of money possible pretty much 99% of the time, because time is money. In terms of if you're working, you're spending your time. And why are you working? Because you're trying to make money, and then you live off the money later. So I don't spend money unnecessarily if I can, even if it requires research or taking some risks that are ethical and no one gets hurt by it. As long as nothing or no one gets hurt in a negative sort of way, then I'll pretty much do it. So that means breaking. I don't care. I'll break rules, break laws, run a red light. It doesn't bother me as long as it's not a pedestrian on the crossing. I'll run a red light. It honestly does not faze me at all. If someone beeps at me, it's their choice. So I went to Shenzhen, crossed the border, came back through immigration after saying, I didn't know what I was doing, just let me back into Hong Kong, trying to get my work visa activated on the way back. And I got back through no worries, but they didn't stamp and activate my work visa. And I only realised this after I'd ridden back to the library in my neighbouring town. And then I asked my friend, look, can I have a look at your work visa? Did they activate it in a certain way? And she was like, yeah, this is what they did for mine. So I was like, well, I'm going to have to go back to the border and do that. And there's a visa you can get on arrival at certain areas in Shenzhen. It's a 5-day visa for Australians. It's 170 Chinese yuan, which is what I got when I went back to the border. Did it at the proper crossing this time, and then I came back and got my visa actually activated after having asked them again because they forgot to stamp it properly, and I realised this time that they needed to stamp it. So all good there. I'm an official Hong Kong employment person, I guess. If you live here for 7 years, you get permanent residency, but we'll see about that. So, loving life. Also got a person I run an Airbnb in my room, so I share with whoever wants to come in. And look, it's in the sticks, and people always complain about the location. I don't know why, because it's like everything there is on the website. I put it up. It is what you get. I'm not lying to you about where the location is, but people always complain about the website, the location, saying it's too far away. But I mean, that's all the information you read is on the website, so you know what you're doing before you come here, and you should realise that if this is too far away, you don't want to stay here, because, well, I give it this like the cheapest place to stay in Hong Kong. It's just a single room, but real estate in Hong Kong is very expensive, so for me to save some more time, I will just, and we're subbing time in for money here, I will just sleep on the floor. I'm sleeping on the floor right now. Sorry. I've had 15 coconut waters today. Over 3 litres because it was our staff party. and I'll sleep on the floor and my guests will sleep on the bed. And they always complain there's a smell in the bathroom, and there is a smell in the bathroom. I'm not sure what it's from. It's not from me. It's from some sort of piping in the bathroom, I think. But there's not much I can do about it other than just airing it out as much as possible. Maybe lighting an incense candelabra. Yeah. So that is what is up. And trying not to get kicked off. If you have a rating lower than 4 stars, and mine's 4 stars in Airbnb, 4 out of 5, which I think is pretty good. You know, if you stay in a 4-star hotel, you're paying a mint and it's pretty nice, then you actually get kicked off Airbnb. So I got to get that rating up. And right now, the bloke here is really nice, so I know he's going to give me 5 stars in every category, even the location. I think that's all I wanted to talk about. Let me know if you like this. Again, this is an audio format because I'm listening to a lot of audio now. So I think if I'm doing it, maybe other people are doing it. And if you're listening to audio, your hands are free, your eyes are free. It's not like reading. So you can be doing other things, although reading definitely has its place. And I've just started reading George Orwell's 1984, which was given to me by Maddie. Thanks, Maddie. Maddie from China, we'll call him. I haven't read this novel, this dystopian novel of the Orwellian world that is Oceania, Eurasia, and something else I've just started. So far, so good. I'm pretty interested. I haven't read a book in a couple of months since being in Australia. And I think reading is definitely healthy for the brain. I don't think you should just listen. I think you should also read. And I think it's a good way to smash things into the brain because there's 24 hours in a day. If you're sleeping for 8, you've got 16. If you're working for 8, you've got 8. What are you going to do with those 8 hours? All right. Remember to have a good time. Enjoy life. See ya.